I know this is the minute you've been waiting for. This is the moment you've been waiting for. This is Inside Pages on Metro Television. Good morning. My name is Aldo Moro. It's a pleasure coming your way. It's a beautiful Saturday morning. This is where Ghana watches and Ghana tunes into every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. It's a 2-hour show, but very packed, very insightful, very conversational, and very exciting and interesting as well. So you don't want to miss it. Here on Inside Pages, what we essentially do is that we delve into the pages of the newspapers, we look out for the big stories, and then we invite the right guests and ask them the relevant questions on your behalf, because we do this on your behalf and on our behalf. And so thank you very much for tuning in to Metro TV's Inside Pages. So please tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend that this is where proper talk, this is where Ghana talks. Now, I guess that your guess is as good as mine. There's a big conversation happening this week. It has to do with that tape, the infamous tape, where we hear voices of persons who are allegedly MPP gurus and a police commissioner of very high rank are having a conversation about how to remove the current Inspector General of Police, that's George DAMPARE. His only crime is that he's not towing the line of any political party. And so they have to get rid of him. One of the guys in that audio says, if we don't get rid of him, rigging the 2024 elections will be extremely difficult. And that, in fact, he even suspects that DAMPARE is aligned to the NDC, because there have been all kinds of conversations, allegedly, that DAMPARE has had with some bigwigs within the NDC. Now, the identity of the persons who are on that tape, we can't disclose. I know them, and I can confidently know that I know the people who are on that tape. But for legal, because of other reasons, we're not going to mention those names. But it doesn't take away the substance of what is contained in that tape. And it's a conversation we need to have, because this is about the country's security and it's about the country's stability. This is Inside Pages. I will be right back. When I come back, I'll be introducing my resource persons on the show. All right, so welcome back. This is Inside Pages on Metro Television. So this is how we have structured today's show. First of all, we'll play you back that tape for those of you who have not had the opportunity of listening to the content of it. Now, once we're done with that, we'll be speaking to Professor Audrey Gajekpo. Now, Professor Audrey Gajekpo is CDD, the Center for Democratic Development. That's their chair. And also, she's an election observer. She's got some views to express on this matter. And then also, we will be hearing from Professor Kwesi Enin. Professor Kwesi Enin is the director of the faculty. In fact, he's the director of Faculty of Academic Affairs, Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Center. He also has some views to express on this matter. We'll also be hearing from him. And then we'll have the Mr. Richard Mnyama, who is a staunch member of the New Patriotic Party, who will also be joining us here. And then also, I'll have Mr. Mustafa Gbandi, who is the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC. So these are the guests who will be speaking to this vexed matter. First of all, let's listen and watch at the same time what these persons who I'll call them saboteurs, have been saying as far as this leak tape is concerned. Now watch this. All right, we sincerely apologize for that. That's the voice of Dr. Kwesi or Professor Kwesi. And now we would play you the tape. I'm talking about the leaked tape where some persons are heard talking about the performance of the IGP and why he should be ousted or he should be kicked out as the Inspector General of Police. And indeed, if you listen, there's a COP in there who says he actually qualifies to be there because he will be ready and prepared to do the bidding of the current administration. So we'll bring you that tape shortly, after which we'll speak to, as I said, Professor Audrey Gajekpo. He's a board chair of the chair of the CDD and also an election observer, because this one borders on the stability of this country, borders on election in 2024 because of the thinking of certain persons and what they intend to do. Of course, if they get their way, that's in 2024, during the 2024 elections. and also what the state as Ghana ought to do about this tape. Already we've seen Parliament move. Parliament has set up an ad hoc committee, bipartisan. So 3 on the MPP side, 3 on the NDC side, and then there's one technical guy, making it 7, who are going to be investigating and probing the content of this tape, because very, very critical questions would have to be answered. Who did the recording? What was the purpose of the recording? To what end? And, who were the persons actually involved in that? And what should actually be happening to them? So would have to be looking deep into this particular issue. And that's why Parliament has put up this ad hoc committee to look into this particular tape, or this leaked tape. And, of course, there have been some persons have also said that perhaps the president should be issuing a statement to reassure the IGP that you're safe. Go about your job. I don't have any intentions of taking you out. And so, ignore the rumors. But it's also important for you to know that let's give this thing some kind of context. Remember that after the Asin North by-elections, there were some party communicators, and I'm talking MPP party communicators, who felt that the IGP had dealt them a raw deal. They felt that the IGP didn't act professionally because he had prevented the NPP from doing certain things. I'm not too sure what it was. And so there was all kinds of talk about the president must look at this IGP if indeed the party wants to win the 2024 elections. And so that's the context. And so when this tape came out, some said, well, it sort of indicates or confirms the suspicion that some persons were uncomfortable with him, and so the man needs to be kicked out. Let's now listen to that tape, and then I'll be back.
No. The work is and look, I remember this one. She comes competition special prosecutor about I did my tape. And I remember, because I asked, why do you kill policemen? You have a very famous and you have seen him. You see how humble he is? Yes, very, very humble. And I told you, he is a lawyer. No, I've met him. That is why every policeman wants to see him as his or her IGP. Master, Alaji. That's how now, Mommy, you're crying. When I met him, I was surprised. Thank you. You see, humility. This genuine humility. Genuine. And yet the fake humility. Yes, he's the one that we want. Now, when you say the enemy, you will see the outcome of the elections. Do you understand? And he's a true party man. The president is aware because of the way he's being treated. He decided that even Joe Sims rather agreed with him that you are a party man. If these people don't want to give you the IGP, because of you, I won't go again. Come and contest my seat, and I will support you to win. That is not what we want. We want him. Constituency, yes, but why? We don't want him as MP. Yes, not Tracy, I told you, he's a party man. You see, and the president is aware. I am telling you, he's here. You see, it is not only his constituency that we want him to serve. No. He should serve MPP at the national level. Yes. I mean, that's his profession. That is his profession. Yes. He's a lawyer, he's a chartered accountant. He taught to me at the police college. Anyway, I got 85. I got 85%. Yes. Well, it was good or bad? Oh, yes, it was excellent. I did well. And when he teaches you, I mean, he has a nice method of teaching. So getting the import of what he has taught you is very easy. This is simple. Simplifies everything. You see? So he's the one everybody wants to see. This man is not a lawyer. He has no fair idea of the law. He has never been on the field. It was NDC that was promoting him day in, day out. When Master was assistant superintendent of police, he was a sergeant. He was what? Sergeant. Sergeant. Then NDC brought you this far. Now, what he's bragging about is the fact that he will be IGP till 2030, because John Mama has promised him if he should win may God forbid anything. If he should win, he will maintain him as a and he
who was there to hear this?
Oh, it is true. Wait, a meeting was held, of which he was a party to that meeting, and where he was even
NDC meeting
headed by your man.
And
this thing is not coming from you. You can Google it. You see.
I know that.
You can go to Ghana Web. Yes, the number of
go what?
Ghana. Go to Ghana Web. Let your boys do it for you. You see it. Paul Adum Ochre. It is one of his recent episodes. This was the topic. This was the subject matter. This was what was discussed.
And that our MPP.
So he mentioned his name publicly. You know, Paul Adum Ochre. Whatever it is.
Possible vice presidential candidates. Includes football chair. Includes DAMPARE.
What would be his wife?
Yes, if he should win. But all these things DAMPARE is doing.
But are you saying that President Nanado doesn't hear this?
Who will tell you?
Me, I've heard it. I will say it, but I just don't want to say it later. It will be found to be not true.
Mention Paul Adum Ochre. Call Paul Adum Ochre.
Good for that much.
Oh, he's very close to the president. He's a journalist. He's a journalist. He's an astute.
Do you have his number?
No.
Get his number for me.
I gave you the Nigeria message. Call your boy to come and search for it for you. Call him now, Alaji. You forget about things too much. But your boss will be Uncle Ray. Again, Uncle Ray. Why?
I use old, so.
What old man? Is this man an old man? Look at him. What is his name? That's a proper girl. About the review, I beg you, let your boy come and do something. We should call Jerry Ahmed. Yes.
Jerry what?
Jerry Ahmed. He's the Director General Coastal Development.
So he's aware of
he's
aware of this meeting.
Yes. Yes. They were discussing. I was there in his office with Don Boy's deputy at the time.
Check whether you get Jerry.
This lawyer Jerry Ahmed. Shy. The shy, there's no you. Only I be last. And I even made Koda. It's Coastal Development Authority. Have you seen it? Capital C, small O, capital D, call him.
Wait.
The numbers are true. Call.
Ghana something is going on. Some of them we are not in.
The customer care said, DAMPARE is very saying, we are human rights lawyer. And some of it see the men what is the time you see? In Payaku, what is it? Why? Most of men are angry, everybody's angry.
And then you were talking about as a contact room for the number.
Paul Adum Ochre.
So, you heard it. You had a conversation in that tape where a police officer, a senior police officer, was talking to a senior party person within the MPP and declaring intentions, what they are not comfortable about, and so on and so forth. So you heard it for yourself. I mean, if you're not, maybe if you're not somebody who understands the Chi dialect, essentially it's about some persons who are having a conversation about the performance of the Inspector General of Police and the fact that the policeman says he's not comfortable with it. He was telling this senior party person that if indeed the New Patriotic Party is serious about breaking the aid, that something needs to happen to the IGP. And he talks about the fact that he is even competent enough to be made the IGP. But even if he's not made the IGP, somebody else must take over, because the Inspector General of Police is not playing ball. Basically, he's not towing the line of the current administration, and that would not augur well for the party going into the 2024 elections. And then the party person says, is the president aware of what the Inspector General of Police has been doing? He says, well, he wants to believe that the Inspector General, the president is aware, because there have been, in fact, my own colleague, Paul Adomachri, on one of his shows, said that the Inspector General of Police, DAMPARE, is one of those who was being considered. Of course, he rumored, he speculated, he's one of those who's being considered as the running mate to John Dramani Mahama. And so this police officer actually referenced that, commentary by my colleague Paul Adomachri here at Metro TV, and said, for him, that's evidence that DAMPARE is aligned to the NDC and not the MPP. And so if the party is serious about breaking the eight, and I repeat it, then DAMPARE has to go. And then some other conversations, but that's in summary what the tape is all about. Let me speak to Professor Audrey Gajekpo, who is chair of CDD and also an election observer. Let me pick her thoughts on what she makes of this tape and what she thinks the state must do with this tape, what she makes of the parliament's decision to take up this matter. An ad hoc committee has been set up, NDC, MPP, 3-3 here, technical guy has been added. Is that the right forum to unravel, to go, to look deep into, or to get to the bottom of this matter? But before that, let me just say that Richard Nyama is also joined us here. Richard Nyama is a New Patriotic Party member, but also doubles as a deputy spokesperson for the Alan campaign team. But he's not here to do Alan campaign or Alan politics necessarily. He's a member of the New Patriotic Party, and that's why he's here. Richard, let me say good morning to you. It's good to see you. How are you? Wonderful. It's been ages. I think it's the first time coming to Metro since we moved here.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I have been to your sister station.
Okay. Oh, that's original. Oh, sorry, your microphone, I'm told your microphone is off, so if you can put it on. Yes. Yeah,
okay.
Good to see you. Good morning. How are you?
Good to see you.
Congratulations on your elevation. I'm told you are the deputy spokesperson now for the Alan team, the Alan campaign.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Proudly so.
Right. Right.
We're doing good.
Fantastic. I'll come back to you, perhaps find out how the Alan campaign is doing. But let me quickly go on the Zoom and speak to Professor Audrey Gajekpo. Prof, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us on Inside Pages here on Metro Television. We're so happy to have you.
Good morning, and thank you for inviting me onto the show.
Right. Now, what adjective would you say would aptly describe your mood or your posture or character or attitude when you were watching this tape? Were you nonchalant? Were you surprised? Were you disappointed? Were you sad? Were you in disbelief? What adjective would rightly capture that?
I don't know whether one adjective would describe it. I would say that I am mildly alarmed. And the reason that it's mild is because we need a lot more answers to what the tape suggests. We're not sure who the people in the tape are. And for me, that's important to know who is speaking in the tape. There's a lot of posturing who think that they have influence, but at the bottom of it all is what I hear as an attempt to influence election outcomes. Whether those people discussing it or not have the power to do that, have the influence to do that, is another matter, because we don't know who they are. Some people may wish to do certain things, but perhaps they don't have the ability to do that. Having said that, for me, what I am most concerned about is the attempt, generally speaking, to influence an institution like the police so that the police are aligned to political interests. And I think that that raises some red flags for me.
Right. So now, when you watch the tape, two themes would jump at you. One, which is, of course, the attempt to get rid of the IGP, because, of course, the two themes are not mutually exclusive; they are interlinked. Now, the first theme, which has to do with let's get ways in which we can get the IGP out, and then the second has to do with, well, the IGP is not playing ball. He's not playing ball. He's not aligning, as you said. He's not dancing to our tune, and so that's not going to help us in the upcoming elections. Now, what for you would be the questions that we need to answer as far as this tape is concerned? Because you started already. You said we need to know who these guys are. What else do you think we need to know as far as this tape is concerned?
Okay, and you're right to say that the two issues are aligned. So there's a suggestion in there that an IGP has to be politically aligned. That's a problem. Even though an IGPs are appointed by political dispensation, IGPs are expected to work in the interest of Ghana. But there's a suggestion there, some of it speculative, as you say, that the IGP is aligned to the NPP and is aligned to the NDC. All of it is speculative. I think what's important for me is a lot of public education within the police force to make sure that they are loyal to Ghana and not to a political dispensation. Of course, we'll be naive to think that people in the police service don't have their political preferences. They should. Everybody votes. However, it's very, very important that we have a police service that is professionalized enough, that understands that they are expected to put, especially during elections, put their political preferences aside and do what's needed to do so that they can protect the ballot box, for example. They can arrest the right people who are perverting the course of elections and not try to look on unconcerned because they think that whatever incident is happening is going to favor the party they prefer. And that professional attitude, particularly during important national exercises like elections, that professional attitude must be signaled by the head, who is the IGP. So we need an IGP who is apolitical in his attitude to work. And in a certain sense, in a certain ironic sense, this tape suggests to me that the current IGP is balanced, and therefore people who think that IGPs and if I want to broaden this issue, public servants ought to owe allegiance to particular political parties rather than to the interests of the country, think that therefore he's not suitable. So in a certain way, it suggests to me that he probably is doing a balanced job. And the second thing I want to say that is raised here again is the fact that the exposure or what this tape purports to expose suggests that we ought to find ways of depoliticizing our public institutions, in this case, the police. And it's a larger question. I'm not sure I have ready answers there, but I think that it's important that we depoliticize the police service. To think that a senior police officer purported on the tape, like I said, we don't we don't know for sure, is purporting to be a senior police officer who wants to play kingmaker when it comes to who should be IGP is very concerning.
Now, there have been a lot of talk about the bastardization of our state institutions. The CDD has caused to express some concerns. We've heard from IDEG, we've heard from Imani Africa, and so many other some other critical minds, right-thinking Ghanaians or members of our society. Now, what is it that makes people who have been appointed by the political class feel like they must serve that particular political tradition and not the state? Have you wondered why?
Yes, I think that it's the nature of our politics and the patronage system that is built in our politics. And that's the problem. The fact that increasingly, over the years that we've been a democratic country, political parties, when they come into power, want to put their people in certain public service positions so that they serve their interests. And because they have appointive power, when they do that, then it sends the wrong signal. It suggests to that person that they ought to. And there are times when the person wants to be independent minded and do the job the way they're supposed to do, their positions are threatened. You see, so that's the problem here now. Is a large patronage system that political office holders willed.
Post the Asin North by-elections, we had some party communicators on, I'm talking MPP party communicators on some platforms calling for the head of the IGP because as far as they're concerned, the IGP didn't treat them fairly. And they had already started talking about, look, if you're really determined to break the 8, this is not the IGP that can help us. And again, if you heard from that tape, the police commissioner was saying the same thing, that look, tell whoever, he mentioned the name of one of the aspirants, I don't want to mention, but we had it on that tape. It says, tell the person that if indeed he's serious about breaking the 8, then we need to change the IGP. So there's context to this tape. So even before this tape came, there's all of this talk, within the public sphere. Now, do you think that the president perhaps should be issuing a statement reassuring the IGP that, look, you're safe, go about, do your job, serve this country, I don't have no intentions of removing you, and that perhaps would make the IGP feel a bit more comfortable and would, motivate him and incentivize him morally to go about his work? What do you think?
I don't think it needs the reassurance to the IGP needs to come in the form of a public statement. Remember that there's a lot on this tape that is speculative. We don't even know the people behind the tape. It will be improper for the president, without getting the full facts of what is happening on the tape, who is on the tape, to issue a public statement. It will be too instinctive. That's not necessary at all. I mean, the president is up there above everything, watching. When the facts are established, then perhaps he can issue a public statement. Having said that, we don't know. We don't know the relationship. I certainly don't know the relationship between the president and the IGP, besides the fact that he appointed him, and I have not heard the president publicly repudiate him or anything like that. So it's quite possible that following this tape, that the president has had discussions with the IGP where he has been reassured. If that hasn't happened, perhaps that should be happening. So that's what I'll say. But as for a public statement, I think it would be a bit premature at the presidential level if the full facts are not established. Because it's a tape, and there are lots of questions to be asked about the tape itself.
How does the president deal with the pressure? There are some party persons who are not happy that DAMPARE is still there.
Oh, I suspect that presidents or people who head institutions, including even the IGP himself, vice chancellors, because I'm from the university sector. Anybody who heads an institution in Ghana knows that there are often pressures on them to act in ways that they may not want to act or may not be good for them to act in. Simply because, again, even though I said that the politicians run a patronage system, a lot of institutions in this country are run in that manner. People think that you can influence the head of the institutions to do certain things that don't inure to the benefit of the institution or to certain individuals within the institution. So I'm sure the president, this will not be the first political pressure he would have faced to do things that, frankly, we all think it will be disastrous if he did. And so I don't know. I mean, I'm sure he knows how to weather the storm.
Right.
But I would say that the silver lining in the leaking of this tape, and I keep wondering who leaked it. It seemed to be a very close meeting. Who leaked the tape is interesting to me as well. And I wonder whether the leak was supposed to preempt or the leak is fortuitous. In other words, it's a good thing that it's been leaked, because if something was being planned, I'd be very surprised if the tape will not have resulted in them not going through with the plan, because otherwise they would be exposed publicly.
Parliament has set up a committee, a bipartisan committee, 3 from the minority side, the NDC side, 3 from the majority side, the MPP side, and then you have a technical guy. Do you think it's the right forum for a probe such as this to be undertaking, and are you confident that Parliament will do a good job?
I think it's one of different forums or different mechanisms that can be put in place to assure Ghanaians that, one, the IGP is not going to be dismissed for partisan reasons, and 2, elections are not going to be influenced by partisan politics, particularly in the police service. So, as for Parliament, it's okay for them to set up the committee, because they are one of the institutions that can look into matters like this. I also do think that there ought to be committees set up to look into that matter, even in the police service itself. If you are the IGP, maybe if the IGP feels self-conscious, maybe the deputy IGP or somebody like that can preside over this process. But there ought to be an attempt within the police service itself to find out whether indeed there's a senior police officer who is plotting to influence who becomes IGP or not, and who within the police service is part of that plot. That's important. Then on the state level as well, there's a need for them to look into the issue because of the implications. So it can happen on different fronts.
All right, Prof, I want to thank you so very much, and I'm sure that you are keen to want to know the outcome of this probe or these investigations, because we ought to establish, as you rightly said, who did this, what was the motive, whether what they said was authentic, and then if there's any sanctions that ought to be applied, we'll do that. No?
Yes, sure, absolutely. So I really do think that one of the things that has to happen is to authenticate the tape and the voices in the tape, identify the people properly. Some people were mentioned, but in a very speculative manner. So it's not clear what role they're playing in this, in quotes, plot. So all of that has to be established, and a certain level of fairness applied to the processes, so that we will be comfortable as citizens that this matter has been dealt with properly and we put it behind us. We know that when it's coming up to elections, there are all kinds of leaks and allegations and tapes and all of that, and we need to find a way to put them in the proper perspective and handle them quickly and move on.
Well, lest I forget, though, the Interior Minister, of course, that's, you can say his words are carry as much weight as the president, but he's come out to say that the president doesn't have any intentions of sacking the IGP, and so the IGP can be rest assured. I don't know what you make of that.
Yeah, I heard him in Parliament responding to a question on that matter, and I think it's okay for him to say it. I mean, his words are not as good as the president's, but he is representing the president on this matter. I think that those are just preliminary comments and assurances. As has been suggested, we need to take a closer look at what the tape suggests, or the nature of the tape, so that he can come up, and I hope he will come up with a fuller statement when he knows the facts of the case.
All right, Prof, thank you so very much for accepting to talk to us. It was a pleasure.
You're welcome. Have a good morning.
All right, that's Professor Audrey Gajepo. She is a board chair, CDD, and also an election observer, expressing her thoughts about the leaked tape and for her what it portends for Ghana's stability and so on and so forth, and what should actually happen to that tape. Parliament is already looking into it. She says that's enough. We'll see how that comes. We'll see how that goes. Let's now go to Parliament. There have been some actions in Parliament as far as this tape is concerned. When I come back from Parliament, we'll be speaking to Richard Nyama. We're also waiting for Mustafa Gbandi, who's the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC here, to join us. That's very unlike him. He's not joined us yet. We've been trying to reach him. So if you can reach Mustafa Gbandi, please tell him that Metro TV is waiting for him. I don't know what the issue is, but very unlike him. We can't reach Mustafa Gbandi. But anyway, so let's go to Parliament and see what happened there.
This House must take interest in conducting a thorough forensic audit into the leaked tape, Mr. Speaker, in order to establish the veracity or otherwise of what is contained in that tape. And more importantly, Mr. Speaker, to preserve the professional integrity of the Inspector General of Police and to protect him thereon. And probably, Mr. Speaker, when we probe it and we are satisfied, we may even decide that going forward in this country, this is the way we want an IGP to be determined or appointed. Ghana, we don't have the Independent Police Commission. Even when they themselves do wrong, they preside over their own matter. We probably, Mr. Speaker, as a consequence, if you authorize this investigation, we may decide that tomorrow, in the appointment of an Inspector General of Police, let adopt a different and a new approach.
Attempts are being made to dislodge the current IGP so that they can have an IGP who is pliant, who would visit violence on the day of the elections on innocent Ghanaians with a view to subverting the will of the electorate. These are matters that need to be thoroughly investigated, Mr. Speaker. And so, when the minority deputy leader made the statement, I think he was spot on. What he's seeking to achieve is to get this House to thoroughly investigate the matter. What even compounds the matter is that a commissioner of police, a serving commissioner of police, is suspected to be at the center.
I am here as the Minister for the Interior, and this House has the right to exercise its powers to let me come and answer questions or otherwise. But I will not allow anybody to impute into these statements that are made things that I did not know of or did not comment on. I've made it clear that there is no problem with the IGP.
There's the need for an investigation, but going by the standing orders, I have to give proper direction as to the nature, the type of investigation. And so going by the same standing order 72, the last sentence says, the terms of any such proposed statement shall first be submitted to Mr. Speaker. So I will urge the maker of the urgent statement to submit in writing the terms of the proposed statement which he just gave us notice. This will guide me to give the direction as to how the investigation or inquiry be conducted by the appropriate committee of the House.
Let me make it absolutely clear that this government is not going to tamper with 2024 election. Number one, our president does not want to stay one more hour beyond his tenure. No. Number two, we are making sure that we have free and fair election. You have been in this country and you've had several by-elections. The by-elections under this system are the most peaceful by-elections that we've had. I had to go to Chiriponi where people were shot in the head and we said, went to Atiwa, Talensi, where they were throwing stones. But now you go to a by-election and everybody relaxed, people are allowed to go about voting peacefully. And I am saying that those who did not believe in the system now believe that they can count on the police in 2024. Haven't they said that? Yeah. They have said that, and rightly so. And so, as far as I'm concerned, we moved on. And I'm also happy that at last they have said that the EC did a good job, because I can assure you that this country would not allow anybody to be killed or shot because of vote at all. One thing is certain, 2024 would not be a violent election by anybody, and no one will want to thwart the will of the people. If you vote us in, you vote us in. If you vote outside, you vote out. And we've shown that before. The difference with which we handed over power in 2009 was so impressive that the then president of the US came here. I was then a member of Pan-African Parliament, and we went to Iso Rock in October of 2012. And then Goodluck said, you are a member of Parliament. Whose side are you? I said, minority. He said, Ghanaians. How much did you lose the vote by? He said, it's not possible anywhere. But we took it here. We led the first round, second round. We lost by the thinnest margin. We handed over. Thank you. And anytime we don't agree, we go to court. When the judgment comes, we accept it. And we congratulate people. We are still waiting for congratulations, are we not?
I submit this statement for your kind attention, seeking to invoke the appropriate standing orders of the House and other relevant legislation for a bipartisan investigation, either by a special committee of the House or Committee of Defense and Interior, into this all-important matter. The terms of reference of this investigation will be to establish the following: the authenticity of the leaked audio recording, investigate the conspiracy to remove the current Inspector General of Police, investigate other matters contained in the audio recording, and recommend sanctions to persons found culpable where appropriate, and make recommendations for reforms where necessary. And six, make such other recommendations and consequential orders as the committee may deem appropriate. Right, Honorable Speaker, I hereby submit for your kind consideration. Thank you.
We need some of you who are very good in IT and other areas to submit your talents and skills to the committee for this work to be done. So I propose that we establish a committee of 7 members. 7 members. Is that okay? 7 members. Leadership will nominate 3 from each side of the House and we'll get a technical person to add to make it 7. That's why I'm calling it a special committee, so that you investigate this matter and then submit your report. So I await the nominees from the 2 caucuses, 3 each, and then a technical person will also be nominated to assist the committee in its investigation and report to the House. I so direct. Leadership, please, within 1 week, we should get the names submitted. Because I know you have to meet your caucuses and make some consultation within 1 week.
There are about 2-3 senior police officers involved directly. One, Alex Mensah, who we are told is a COP, and one, Superintendent Asari. And so at least these 2 people we are told, I'm sure the police know them. They know their voices, they know them. And so mine is that these people should be brought to book. This issue should be investigated thoroughly. What they said scandalous, what they said shouldn't have happened, what they've been planning shouldn't have happened. And I would want us not to mix them up.
Right.
When you look at it, it has nothing to do with politics. It rather has to do with some so-called professionals who are attempting to remove another professional.
Right.
And so as far as I'm concerned, these are a group of police officers who probably have come together to remove one of their own through foul means, so that once they are given that opportunity, according to them, they will be able to manipulate the 2024 election. But you see, they contradicted themselves. They actually said that they have tried severally to get the president to buy into their idea. The president said he is happy with the IGP he has put there. And so they've been going around trying to get people to help them perpetuate that dastardly act. So I think that the issue should be investigated. I've seen some other information or audios out there which is not in the public domain.
Right.
I tell you what, the 2 IGPs you mentioned were retired and given contract to stay on.
Right.
And by our statutes, if you are 60, you are supposed to go on retirement.
Right.
And so if by 60 you are supposed to go on retirement and you are given a contract, you should know that the contract will be terminated. But this current IGP, so I'm just explaining to you how difficult it's going to be.
Right.
Because this IGP is just about 54. He still has 6 years to go. And so it is almost near to impossible. If you remove him and say he's no longer the IGP, are you going to let him still work as a police officer? Or you are sending him home, which the statutes, which the laws of this country does not allow you to do. So you see, they themselves have behaved a bit childish, excuse my words, because they should know that this is somebody who is not up to 60. So if you are asking the person to be removed, are you asking that he sent home before the age of 60? And so for me, I think that there is something they've been scheming to do, and a probe would help us, unearth whatever bad things they've been planning. It's important to get to know what they've been doing. And for me, I would go for a probe, a thorough investigation into this.
And all those who were involved, there's one Alaji, who is that? They must establish his identity and prefer charges if it is established that they are the ones who actually sat down to plot such an evil agenda against the sovereign will of the people. The very survival of our democracy is dependent upon how transparent our national elections are. And so if there is an attempt to rig and to undermine the sovereign will of the people, well, that should be, a matter that should be treated with a certain degree of seriousness. You don't just sweep these things under the carpet. This audio must be thoroughly investigated, and I was expecting that the minister would have spoken, and given us the assurance that they are going, by now, Alex Mensah should have even been invited, interdicted. And then the investigations will commence in earnest. Anything short of that is untenable.
All right, so those were some excerpts of what happened in Parliament. Again, we're still saying that Mustafa Gbande was supposed to join us We've been we're unable to reach him for some very strange reason. And so if you're closer to him, there's a way you can reach him because we have all his contact numbers. They are all off, which is very, very weird and very strange. So if you can reach Mustafa Bandi for us, Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, please do and tell him that we're waiting for him here at Metro TV. Now, the WhatsApp line for those of you who want to join us, join the show is 055 0553 000035. 055 300035. Send us a WhatsApp. Let us know what you think about what we call the infamous DAMPARE tape. Let me read some messages that have already come through, and then I can go to Richard Yama for us to kickstart our conversation. Ghana has to be serious and use a different way of appointing IGP as well as heads of most public institutions. It shouldn't come from the executive or political leadership. That's coming from IKEA. Good morning, Moro. The leak tape undermines the firm control of the IGP on the police service as the conversation is going on now. Moro, if something is not done urgently, our democracy will be in danger. That's coming from Al-Haji Haruna from Shaiman. All right, so Richard, again, welcome back.
Oh.
And maybe before we get into the substantive issue, I think it would only be fair as a deputy spokesperson for the Alan campaign to ask, how's the campaign doing?
Thank you very much. Let me say good morning to your viewers, and particularly so to Honorable Alan John Kojo Chiramantin, my boss, and inshallah, the incoming president, January 7, 2025. And then to my constituents, Pandai.
Oh, Zaka Pandai.
Really?
I see.
That
from the NDC.
So
anyway, I wish you the best of luck.
Yes. So to my constituents in Pandai, good morning. God willing.
How long have you been nursing this ambition, though?
Is that?
How long have you been nursing this ambition?
Oh, I have. I contested in 2011.
Oh, that's true.
Yes,
that's
I
true.
did. And that was the first time. And after that, the former MP, the one I lost to,
okay.
I took a strategic decision not to contest him once the seat was told for the MPP.
Okay.
So in 2015, when nominations were opened,
You didn't even file?
I didn't. I went and actually lifted his hand and announced that he should go unopposed.
Okay.
And then 2019 as well. But in 2020, we lost the seat.
Right.
But if you see the massive development PP brought to Pandai,
Right.
we had no business whatsoever losing it.
that seat. Okay.
And so,
And that's what gives you the confidence.
yes, and you ask the question why we lost it. And it comes down to the person. And I
Okay.
think I bring something refreshing
Okay.
to the table, and
Right.
I'm very confident I'll take it.
Okay.
Yes,
That's fine.
because the
Good luck.
record of the MPP is unparalleled in Pandai right now,
Okay.
especially under Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
Right.
Yes. To your question
About how the campaign is going
yes.
so far.
You know, Alan is a strategist. Is a deep thinker. Politically, I must confess, I haven't met his kind.
Okay.
Somebody that is so deep. When you leave Alan's feet anytime, learning something new. And when you are in his presence, you feel inadequate because the man knows his brief. He comes prepared. And if you go and sit before him, you're not prepared, you get exposed. He brings so much to the table. So, and this is his fourth time going.
Okay.
It came down to going around constituency by constituency. And
Right.
I'm highlighting this particular issue because it is caught on so well. He came up with this idea that, look, the way we are conducting our internal elections is so quiet, is so hidden that you don't actually feel that we're in a campaign season where MPP is internally going through an election.
Okay.
And so we have to come to the game with a different strategy for it to catch on. And mind you, the Ghanaian people are a bit wary of politics in any case. But this is somebody that was able to put about 300,000 to 400,000 people on the streets of Ghana just to show that, look, when you have the proper strategy, planning, and thinking, you will get people to follow and support.
Right.
It has never happened in the history of this country between 1950 and date. If anyone has any evidence of the numbers that poured out on the Druze who walk in Accra, they should tell me, same in Kumasi. So the man says that, look, let's change the game. We are going to put the constituencies together. Our initial and immediate reaction was that this is a very bad strategy because the delegates and polling station executives are used to people visiting them in their constituencies, in their homes. So they are fine just welcoming you, not they coming to you.
Okay.
You understand? But he says, no. I think it will work because the atmosphere is too down. The motivation, the spirit of the party is low. We need to do something to ginger them up. So let's try it. And when he did it, though we weren't very convinced, we went out there and prepared. And lo and behold, the first point at Dansuma, I was shocked. I was part of the advance team. I got there 9 a.m. The program is supposed to start at 10.
Right.
And the place was packed.
Okay.
Packed. And it's since caught on. We've just done Greater Accra, cluster Derbers. We put 3-4 polling stations together, constituencies together. And the vim and motivation, you see the brass band, the singing and dancing, it's like they felt caged, and this has given them the opportunity to showcase themselves. And all over the place, now you are seeing and feeling MPP. And my brother is very beautiful. So we are going to...
So basically there was a twin objective.
Yes.
One which is to energize the base of the party, and also two, to test the willingness to come and meet him.
Yes.
How much
they like him,
okay.
how much they love him, and they've shown it.
Right.
And you can see people eager and falling over themselves to be seen and heard around Alan.
Okay.
And for me, that speaks volumes. And when we go, they are the focus in any case. So they do the speaking. Alan comes to as the icing on the cake.
Okay.
And it's very good. But come to the messaging proper. And for me, the race is between the two of them.
Right.
The sitting vice president and Alan Kojo-Chiromande.
Okay.
Now, it is a competition between tangibles, concrete deliverables, and rhetoric.
Okay.
Tangibles, concrete deliverables by Alan, and rhetoric by the current vice president.
I see.
Because when Alan goes through his track record and what he has done, there are concrete things that we can stand on, Ghanaians can see and feel, and say, yes, he has a case. He has a track record. He has the experience. This is a practical person, an industrialist, practical economist. He knows his stuff. And there is a history to what he is doing in creating jobs versus this message where I've led you in court, I have served the party, I nearly died. The question is that how do those things convince the delegate?
No, but are you dismissing the importance of those things? The extent to which you serve the party?
Yes, even on those records,
yes.
Alan stands taller. That's the point.
When it comes to service the party?
Yes. Somebody who
commitment to party cause.
Yes.
Dedication to party cause.
Yes. Because he is a founding father of the party. He was one of the founders of the party.
Okay.
From 1992.
Right.
You get it. And then this is a person who just didn't come as a founder, but was actually part of the niche group that actually raised funds. He was actually the chairman of the Young Executives Forum. And he, together with the likes of Baridu of late, was his secretary.
You mean Kojo Baridu?
Kojo Baridu.
The former finance minister.
Yes.
All right.
The Courage Kwasiges, Kwabena Japons, the current Minister of National Security, Kandapa, Cecilia Dapa, all of them. But he was at the head of that. Our first party headquarters, Akoko, they bought it. And his track record in financing the party is there. When we went to pay for the album, the party album, he had pledged he would do it.
Right.
Yes, the General Secretary attested to the fact that he's one of the few consistent contributors to the party's coffers since 1992.
Okay.
Very credible record. He has a record of actually bringing businesses to all constituencies in this country when he wasn't even contesting, 2005, called the Constituency Business Ventures, based on which today he says that when he comes, he's going to extend it to the polling station level so that the polling station executives will also be paid. When he says they are going to be paid, that is the model he's talking about.
Right.
So we're talking about somebody who has concrete, tangible programs that are anchored on what he calls the GDP, the Great Transformational Plan, versus the VIP. He says he has a vision. What is that vision? He's yet to put it out there. If it is possible, I don't know. But if it is possible, then it means that there's a doubt. Great transformational plan. I am going to transform this country from where we are to the next level. Somebody says it's possible. I don't know what it is. Vague. If that is the plan, then we are in trouble.
But that certainly is not a plan. It's just
Yes.
a slogan.
So where is the plan? Where is it?
What, we don't have any spokesperson for the
Yes.
vice president.
No,
Tell
but
us what the plan is.
Yes, but I'm saying that these are the
You're
concrete
telling me
things.
it's your plans.
Yes, I'm saying that these are the concrete things that Ghanaians will look at, not rhetoric. At this point, it's rhetoric.
Okay.
And we need the vice president to put some flesh to it. If he has a vision, let's see what it is. Then we can juxtapose it with the Great Transformational Plan and see which one is stronger, which one is better. In any case, others are even suggesting that if he has such a vision, he is the sitting vice president. He's in charge of the economy. We currently are in a dire place. They expect that he will put his vision to work, and then we'll see it changing the current situation, based on which he can then make a case that, look, I have turned the economy around, I've turned things around. So based on that track record, vote for me. Alan, on his side, tells you that, look, when we came to power in 2000, okay, I brought a vision called the Presidential Special Initiatives, 4 anchored projects.
Okay.
I hear my good friend at the Jubilee House, Niteko, the other day challenging me that Alan is not the visionary or the person who brought about the Presidential Special
Initiatives, yes.
I'm putting it on record today.
Okay.
That President Kufuor is still alive. Alan, when we came to power in 2000, told President Kufuor that, look, considering the fact that we were in a HIPIC situation, it will be very difficult for us to wriggle our way through 8 years with tangibles, with concrete projects that Ghanaians will remember him by.
Okay.
And so we'll have to find some other ways of bringing that. And then he brought the Presidential Special Initiatives in cassava, that is starch, industrial starch, salt, oil palm, and fabric garments. Okay, that led to the Friday Wear idea. Now, President Kufuor, after looking at the blueprint that Alan put before him, was excited. So a cabinet interministerial committee was put together, chaired by the president himself, President Kufuor, coordinated by Alan. Alan was then later sent to the U.S. as the ambassador to the U.S. But he was still in charge of coordinating this ministerial committee, even from the U.S.
Right.
As at the time he was in the U.S., this particular Presidential Special Initiatives was under the State House, not under any specific ministry.
Right.
When he came back, it was brought under the Ministry of Trade and Industries, Presidential Initiatives, and Private Sector Development. That is how long the name became. Of course, the Kwame Battles they are mentioning were part of it. But the concretization, first the vision was Alan's idea. He put it on paper. Second, the thing went through a process. But Alan came and implemented and got it where it got legs. So to the extent that you had a Yensu Strack factory, brought a Danish technology that saw us produce one of the best starch, industrial starch in the country, in the world. Okay? And the idea was for us to make around 10 billion US dollars out of industrial starch.
Okay.
Built multiple such industries. The same for garments. He looked at, what do we call it? This country, Bangladesh.
Right.
A very small country, making an average, as at last year, 2022, Bangladesh had made 46.2 billion US dollars from just garment sales.
Okay.
As at then, they were making 30 billion. Alan's idea was that even if we're doing half of it, our fabrics, the designs, the quality is so good. But we're usually laughing at ourselves. Adjoanya Yankee,
right.
the Thai and diabetic.
Right.
Until he brought the Friday wear idea, and then it caught on. Today, you go to Parliament, you see Honorable Alban Suman Bagbin wearing, before then, we were calling those things unofficial.
Okay.
And it wasn't even accepted on the floor of Parliament until some specific days. That was when Friday was introduced. Still the colonial mentality. So these are the concrete things the man brought.
So your point is nobody should attempt to take away Alan's role in the introduction of the PSI with the Princess Special Initiative.
He envisioned it.
He envisioned it.
And he concretized it. Between the envisioning and the concretization, a process went, we went through a process. Others got involved.
Right.
But it is his baby, it is his idea.
Okay.
And any attempt to try to rewrite this history, I'm saying that President Kufuor is alive. If I am making this up, tomorrow I challenge you and your house to go to him. Today, there are people in the NDC, the Presidential Special Initiatives, and I'm saying this for the last time because up to now, Alote Jacobs has refused to respond to me.
Okay.
Yes. I'm saying that when Alan did the Presidential Special Initiatives, it was with the belief that we would continue to be in government. The objective was for government to raise up to 50 billion US dollars from 4 products. These 4: salt, oil palm, garments, and then starch. Now, if we're doing that per annum for just 4 products, we didn't have any business with the IMF again. So when he says that if Ghanaians had listened to him, we wouldn't have gone to the IMF again. This is what he meant. Because there was a plan anchored on these 4. Now, we've been dealing with cocoa for, God knows, since Fernando Po, right? The highest we've ever made out of cocoa is 2 billion. The man brings 4 products, brings an idea of how to make 50 billion. And he expected that there will be continuity. When we left government, NDC took over. In actual fact, when they examined the projects, the most profitable ones, like the Ayensu Starch Factory, the NDC sold those projects to themselves. And I am saying that Alote Jacobs, the former Central Regional Chairman of the NDC, was one such person under the Ayensu Starch Factory. He is still a shareholder of that company. When Alan came back, there was an attempt by government to retrieve it, that will buy the project back because we see how valuable it is and how the potential is huge.
Okay.
They went and brought Chinese technology to replace the Danish technology, and it has since collapsed.
Okay.
He said, we'll bring it back. What happened? The NDC are still fighting this particular thing in court.
Okay.
What do you expect?
Now,
so let me conclude this particular tangible aspect and lessons learned out of it so that your viewers will understand.
Okay.
Alan haven't learned that, look, the Presidential Special Initiatives, when we brought them, led to the normal Ghanaian greed. We selling the projects to ourselves when the government has left power.
Okay.
Decided that the next one they gave him, which was one district, one factory, because PSI was largely government-sponsored and run, that gave the opportunity for the plundering, right?
Okay.
So going forward, he is going to make it private sector focused. So what did he do? He invited proposals from the private sector.
Okay.
Thousands of them. In the end, he whittled it down to about 500, and out of that chose some 300 of them.
Okay.
292 of which have now been done.
Right.
Okay. At various stages of completion, over 190 of them concretely employing. You go to the data, the 2.2 million data the Vice President reference NPP has having created. Majority of them are under his ministry. Those are the tangible ones that you can say proper jobs, not the NAPCO type. The proper ones that are long-lasting.
Okay.
Now, Alan says that, no, we have the likelihood of you being in government to see the project through to its finished stage where you are getting the 50 billion is not very feasible because Ghanaians tend to vote every 8 years, the government out, but which we intend breaking anyway. But let's let the private sector lead this time, so that when there's a change in government, the succeeding government.
So there's continuity.
There's continuity.
Okay.
You see how ingenious the man is.
Now, understand, Richard. We're really going to make time and discuss the Alan vision and the Alan message. There's going to be a whole.
I'll be very grateful.
Yes, because that's a whole conversation we need to have. We're going to take the GTPP and then we'll look. Into greater detail. What this whole
the man is yet to become president.
Right.
He has even a candidate. Yet he has put a vision there.
Okay, but here's the thing, Richard. Here's the thing, and that's my final concluding remarks on, because we need to look at the more substantive issue for which we have this show. This is just a by the side matter or an aside issue.
I get you.
You know, I've heard people from your party say that beyond the issues about competence, the deliverables, track record, and so on and so forth, which can always be debated depending on where you stand. The MPP is also faced with the challenge of erasing a certain perception. And it is a perception, whether it's been created or whether it already exists. Of course, some have said the NDC has sort of hung a certain perception on the neck of the MPP, which is that you're a party that is yet to give people from the northern extraction their full recognition and respect. And you have the finest opportunity today to support Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia in order to erase and make him the flag bearer of your party, in order to erase the perception that the NPP does not fully and genuinely love Northerners and that you're using them. And until and unless you make Dr. Bawumia the flag bearer of your party, that perception is not going to be erased. And so you have that fine opportunity to do that. In any case, your strong base, which is the Ashanti region, will continue to be there. Nothing's going to happen. It doesn't matter who you put out there. So maintain your strongholds, which is the Ashanti Eastern region, and then use or put forward somebody from the Northern region so that becomes the battleground. Then the person will go there and slug it out with the NDC in the Northern region and possibly, win massively. So that the Northern region then becomes an added region to, what you call it, your strongholds. Doesn't that sound strategic for those who are thinking the way they're thinking?
You see, you nailed it when you said that it was a creation. And a creation of His Excellency John Mahama. He put it on us like an agbada like I'm wearing. And somehow we have also bought into it. I've had the vice president actually buy into it, and aides of him like Bugri Nabu in a very silly way say that if we do not make the vice president our candidate, then MPP hates Northerners. Yes. That's such so unfortunate statement to make. You know what? The MPP is the only party that in the first place makes it to ensure that we have an even playing field. Has a standing precedent of ensuring a north-south ticket. It's a standing consistently. Right. It's been like that. So depending on who is the candidate, the partner will have to have a north-south balance. Right. Okay, it's a given. Now, secondly, the MPP does not bar anybody from standing for elections. Okay. I will tell you something, for instance, that as somebody who had a view into former Vice President Aliu's bid in those days, the strategy was this. You had the three northern regions, okay? You had Volta region then, okay? who are very sympathetic towards
The NDC.
the northern cause when it comes to alliances.
Okay, alliances, absolutely.
Okay, now,
Absolutely,
so the
yeah.
strategy was that if the northern, 3 northern regions, okay, plus Volta, if he concentrated his efforts there, that is about 30%, 40% of the voter population.
Okay.
Add the Zongos. The Zongo communities across this country that form a whole region on its own.
Yeah.
You probably will have about 40, 50%. That was the strategy. Now, when we went into the elections, and we were looking at a voter delegates list of over 480, looking at that, that would come to him with a focus, right? When we went to the elections, 17 people go in. If this strategy had succeeded, automatically he is the leader of the party. He had 132 or so. So his own supposed northerners, I'm a northerner. You know me. You have to convince me that you have what it takes. Because we've had situations where northerners are sitting at the helm of affairs and they are not minding their own people. We are very much aware of that. And so we'll take somebody who is competent to do the job. We don't care if you are a northerner or a Muslim. The MPP brought Zongo development and brought a Zongo ministry. The only Zongo seat MPP has ever won since we did it was Medina, Boniface. Upon all that, I'm saying that we'll vote based on competence. In any case, it's a level playing field. Now, and let me show you the contradiction in this statement that your stronghold will always be yours. In 2016, everybody was fed up with the NDC. They wanted their back, right? So we saw them off. The voting was across this country massively against the NDC. Ashanti region in 2020, over 520,000 voters didn't turn up in Ashanti. That is our stronghold.
Why was that?
Why was that? They were beginning to feel left out. So it is apathy. There's no automaticity to it. That because it's your stronghold, they'll turn up all the time. If you're not doing well, they'll turn their back against you. In any case, the NDC had 650,000 votes in Ashanti versus 610,000 in Volta, their stronghold. If you look at the 5 northern regions, the presidential elections, there was only one of them that we won. Northeast, what was the margin? 10,000. Okay? The rest of them, presidential elections in 2020, we lost to John Mahama. So somebody should convince me that having 2 northerners going on that same ticket and considering the current economic situation we are, northerners will all of a sudden secretly go because we MPP have brought in a northerner, they will all come and vote for us. And in any case,
it's not a given.
It's not given. In any case, the votes we had in Ashanti, 1.1 million over NDC, cancelled all the 5 northern regions, OT, Volta. 7 regions. So why will I risk it? I would rather ensure I increase my strength, my stronghold. And per our permutations, if the MPP was able to get 2 million voters in Ashanti region, okay, and all we needed were 4.5 million across the other regions, and we are game. Right. So why will we want to risk this plan? We're not looking for a presidential candidate. We want a president.
Global Analytics says that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is leading at the moment. We're just a slim margin. Research.
Their latest. I have looked at their research paper.
Scrutinized it.
I've always, and that is my area.
Okay.
The last one they just did about a week or so ago, something curious is missing in the paper.
Okay.
The previous one they did in April, okay, when you looked at it, was telling you the margin of people who were either undisclosed or undecided.
Right.
When you put those two together, you had about 25% undisclosed.
True.
Undecided.
Undecided, yes.
And when you went deeper into the regions, when I looked at it, realized that where Alan was strongest most was where the undecided voters were. Volta region, OT region, had 45% Volta, 37, I think, OT. And if you do not know, Upper West is a stronghold of Alan as well, 27%. Then, curiously, Eastern region, where the president comes from, was about 37 or 39% undecided voters. And then my question to them then, and I remember on CTTV, I asked them that, if the president is supporting his vice president as a candidate in the race, and his home region has about 39% of the voters.
The president doesn't have any preference.
Okay, that is what you are saying.
He's in the middle. He's,
okay, so
he doesn't have any preference.
We know that the establishment candidate is the sitting vice president.
What does establishment candidate mean?
Establishment means that the sitting government is supporting some particular person, and people are being whipped in line to support that person. Point is this: if you have 39% of that region being undecided, it is dangerous for you to assume that that seat is yours. Okay? Now, ironically, and this is about more than one quarter of the voter population, undecided or undisclosed.
Yes.
All of a sudden, in their last research, vanished from the research. There's no single slide on it. Doesn't show people who are undecided or undisclosed or the margin. There's no single research. All of a sudden, it went mute. And they are telling me within 1 month, all the undecided, undisclosed have all of a sudden decided they have a place. That is quite strange a research. Like for me, that is where the thing lies. People can tickle themselves and laugh all they want.
Kamal Dean Amasaman Bruni sent me a message.
Yes.
I don't know whether you know him. He's one of the MPP's communicators.
Okay.
He says, Mora can unequivocally tell you that the Alan campaign atones you. All he keeps repeating when he meets delegates is a drumeso. And again, he tries to shy away from the government he served for 6 years, making many delegates to ask, will his campaign message in the unlikely event he wins the primary to ask what will be his campaign message in the unlikely event he wins the primaries. And it says, belated happy birthday to Hajia Mugira, Deputy National Coordinator for Dome constituency. And then this one here says, good morning. Please ask your guest, did he ever attend Ganasco, Tamale? His face
No,
looks familiar.
no Visco. Okay, there was no Visco, not in School of Business.
So that's fine. Okay. Moro, please tell the MPP member that I wish his narrative is the actual fact. Though I'm not an MPP member, yet I wish Alan would win, but unfortunately I doubt that will happen because the Dansuman gathering he's talking about, it is not what he's thinking. Bamia also came there and gave blah, blah, blah. I don't want to mention it because, you know, to the executives, and it had influenced their decision, and that is what I'm afraid for Alan. This is an intel I picked from one of the executives who I live with in the same compound, narrating it loud to his wife and other friends around at the moment. There are other issues. So, you know what, Richard, like I said, would have time.
But you see the Kamal part.
Yes, the Drew. So he said that's all Alan has been saying.
Really?
That's what he has heard.
Yes.
You can grant him that.
But so which says that, actually points to the fact that he hasn't been to any of our gatherings. Because Alan is the only one who is telling them that he's going to pay the executives up to the polling station. Every single one of you is going to get paid. He has told you what he's going to do in case of for the party in terms of appointments versus the VIP saying he will give you 10 appointments, which are already in existence.
Like I said,
so please.
Like I said, we would have time to talk about
this. And the Dansuma man, he shouldn't be afraid. He should relax because same happened in Hasinoff.
Okay, that's fine. So Richard, you know why we're here? We're here to talk about the leak tape.
Yes.
The content of which is making some people very uncomfortable.
Yes.
Why do you people want to oust the IGP?
Which people?
That's the New Patriotic Party. That's what some have argued, that there's a certain concerted effort to get the president to oust him because you're not comfortable with him. You don't like DAMPARE. DAMPARE is in the middle. You don't like that.
Moro, let me re-emphasize what the Minister of Interior said.
Ambrose Derry.
That the IGP is not going anywhere.
Okay.
In actual fact, the president on several occasions has lauded the IGP.
True, that's a fact.
Publicly.
He's reposed a lot of confidence.
Yes. And he said it, that look, you have my unfettered support. and keep doing what you are doing because I'm happy. I'm impressed with your job. In the first place, who appointed him? So it took because this same DAMPARE you're talking about was who he was even under the previous regime.
Yeah.
I remember then I think he was in charge of the training school. Then he came to be in charge of Greater Accra. And yes, but it takes a very good visionary leader to spot talent, spot competence. And he did. And he put him to task. And the man has made everyone proud. Okay. But you see, in this particular political season, it's normal for influence peddlers to be out there trying to sell their influence. Okay. I've listened to the tape.
The tape. What
The,
were the issues?
the version you have
Okay.
is pretty much a very short version.
Okay.
I've heard the whole tape.
What I have is about 13 minutes.
Yes. But, okay, then what you played
Yes.
wasn't the
We
complete.
didn't play the entire 13
Yes,
minutes.
because
yeah.
there are parts that even a call comes through, and that is where I am questioning I'm not questioning, I actually want to believe it is very valid. Because there's this call that comes in from outside, and it's clear that the phone was on speaker.
Yes.
Okay, of one of the participants in the meeting. And then someone calls, and I speak
Dagbani.
fluent Dagbani.
Yeah.
The person on the other side of the phone is speaking Dagbani and making attributions of some monies that were supposed to be given to them to declare for a particular candidate. And this man goes on to say that you come and get the money, but when you go ahead and not just declare, but also be part of the campaign and campaign for him. It's like people are out there trying to find ways and means of milking the system and make their own monies. And so they are influence peddling. But seriously.
Are you suggesting this tape is much ado about nothing?
Oh, it's a lot of cock and bull by those sitting there. But I also seriously agree with the fact that it needs to be investigated. Because that thing needs to be nipped in the bud. Where a serving police officer goes to sit down and run his mouth like a cockerel.
Okay.
Because if you look at how they are trained, you expect people of that caliber and of that level and rank to be mindful of what they say and where they even say it, no matter how much you hold whoever it is in confidence. But there were other parties in that meeting. From the tape, there were not less than 3. There could have been 4 or 5 in that meeting.
But as we had 3 voices.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, on what basis do you sit in such a group meeting and start talking this way and expect it to be a secret or stay amongst you? And it's obvious the thing was being recorded. It could even have been remotely recorded. The clarity of the voice and all those things, they'll have a difficult time trying to convince anybody that is fake. I'm telling you, I am convinced beyond reasonable doubt because of that call. And the reason why I'm convinced is that the person that receives the call is not able to identify the voice of the person who called in and was now inquiring. And then the person, after identifying themselves, he then tells you, come in, when can you come and get your money and blah, 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 blah. I'm saying it's influence peddling. People are selling their influence.
Right.
And it has to do with these very elections we are going to. They are collecting monies and pretending to be given to people to come and declare to people. You see, so some of the declarations are very, very inorganic. They are arranged. So that when you sit back and you hear people are declaring and they say they are for this person, they are for that person, monies have changed hands. You should ask yourself if you've got yours. But point is that it brings into sharp focus the office of the IGP. And I'm happy that this matter has come up on the floor of Parliament.
Yes.
Look, let's put the politics aside. I am very confident in the president's ability to spot and identify very competent people and give them their due to serve this country. He's done that with the IGP.
Right.
The IGP's office is secured and has been confirmed by the Interior Minister. So that part, I don't see anything happen.
Right.
But we have always questioned the process by which the IGP
is appointed.
It's appointed.
You think we need to revisit that topic?
Look, it's a debate that we need to have. And I'm happy that Parliament has seen the need to put up a committee to investigate the matter, because we need to investigate it. When we do, okay, and the persons are identified and the appropriate punishments meted out, because whoever that police officer is sitting there should not be in office. As at now, I expect that the person would have been interdicted.
I find it
pending
the investigations or the probe. But I find
Yes.
it curious that after the tape leaked,
yes,
and people's pictures were circulating everywhere. You know, the pictures of persons were suspected to be on the tape were circulating everywhere. None of those people have come out to say anything.
My point is that
which I find quite interesting.
Yes, that is one. But for me, the persons, especially those who are still in office, because I feel that even the IGP on his own can act by getting the police council
to
interdict the said person,
right,
pending further investigation.
Right.
If he can't, the Minister of Interior should be doing that. Because seriously, it brings the recklessness of this recording is tarnishing to the image of the MPP and the government. But I'm telling you, I can tell you that it is somebody's selfish interest that is being served by that. And we as a party and government should not sit down and be washed in the mud of this. Some cleaning up should happen.
Should happen.
Some persons should be indicted.
Okay.
The party and government should be questioning some people as well, independent of what Parliament is doing.
Okay.
Because, look, Parliament's aim is to get to the bottom of it. But if I heard Haruna right, they want to go to the point of Parliament recommending alternative ways of appointing the IGP.
Right.
If, in the end, Parliament, as our representative body, comes to that conclusion, I'll be all for it. If they also come to the conclusion that the status quo should remain, I'll be all for it.
Okay.
But something needs to be done. We cannot let this one be part of the supposed fake tapes and things. It does a lot of damage to us.
Okay. Let me read some of the messages that have come through, and then we'll be speaking to Mr. Kofi Adams, who's the Member of Parliament for Buem, the Buem constituency, but also a member of the Defense and Interior Committee. And now, the reason we're calling Kofi Adams, remember I said to you that Mustafa Gbande had been invited on Wednesday to join the conversation. He had agreed. He was more than happy to join us because he's the one who's been talking quite a bit as far as this matter is concerned. And so we had invited him. He had agreed. And to be fair to him, I mean, each time we invited him, he was here on time. But for some reason, today, he's not here, and we also can't reach him. We've called him several times. His phones are totally off. We just hope that he's fine. We just hope everything is fine with him, because it is very unlike him to switch his phones off. That's one. Two, and for him not to show up and not give any explanation or to give any reason why he's unable to show up for a program. Now, let me read some of the messages that have come through quickly, and then I'll come back to Mr. Richard Nyama, and then we'll speak to Mr. Kofi Adams as well, who is a member of Parliament for Buem and also a member of the Defense and Interior Committee. Okay, so let me quickly speak to Kofi Adams now, and then I'll come back and read some of the messages. Now, the WhatsApp line is 055-300035. So 055-300035. The Honorable Kofi Adams, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us on Inside Pages here on Metro Television.
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity.
Okay. Now, Honorable, you know, I've been talking to Richard Nyama of the NPP, and he says he's wondering why, you know, some persons have been worked up by this tape, because as far as he's concerned, a few persons who are engaged in influence peddling, who just want to be more important than who they are, feel they can do certain things they don't have power to do. Really, this is not much ado about nothing, even though, yes, if he's not against any attempt to probe into this matter. But rest assured that the IGP is not going anywhere. They believe they like the IGP. They believe in him. The president himself has said it. So maybe we can allow sleeping dogs to lie. No?
Moro, the person who is telling you that it's much ado about nothing, why does he think that we should take his statement that is much ado about nothing more than someone who had occupied a position of director of operations of the Ghana Police Service participating in a meeting where such critical issues were raised? I don't think that is a matter that we should just speak.
Kofi, that's not been established yet. The person in the position they hold.
Well,
not been established
that is part of the reason why it must be investigated.
Okay.
So I don't see why anybody will be against an investigation. If you think that, so shouldn't we establish the truth or otherwise? That is why the statement made it very clear that, one, let's establish the truth or otherwise of the audio that we have heard. There are actually some who are saying there is a video version of the conversation and much more details than what it is that we have heard. And to have members of a political party meet together to suggest that an IG is doing his work well according to them, that he is being fair, and that fairness will not allow them to manipulate the outcome of an election, and to suggest that there are ways and means. For us, we need to be worried. Every Democrat must be worried about that audio. It is not to suggest that maybe we are so comfortable and happy with the working of the IG. No, that's not it. It's not like we do not have issues with some of the things that is done. But we are opposed to anyone suggesting that let's remove this person and introduce another person that will come and be extremely partisan, even more than the national organizer of the New Patriotic Party. That is where we are of concern. If people want to criticize the police service or the IG for the performance of their functions and the rest, they are free to do so. The NDC will do so, the MPP can do so. But to organize a meeting and to suggest, and when these have come out, then you hear all kinds of arguments that, oh, there was an IGP appointed by NDC in the year 2000, but the NDC didn't win elections. There was an IGP appointed by MPP in the year 2008, they didn't win elections. And an IGP was appointed in 2016 by the NDC, and they didn't win the elections. So therefore, IGPs cannot win an election. Well, we heard from the audio that it is possible for the IG and the police to do certain things to aid the process. Those things must be reviewed. People must be questioned. The voice must be authenticated, and those things, such utterances, we must question them. How that is possible. Then we can arrive at a decision. And on top of that, we could bring in reforms that would provide the way and manner an IGP could be appointed in future and possibly removed or changed if he has to be changed.
Okay.
So that it doesn't become political party apparatchiks meet and think that they don't like the face of an IG. An election is coming. We've seen that we are not doing well. So let's change the IG. No.
Okay. Kofi, I've heard some people say that in order for us to place a lot of premium or substantial premium relevance or importance to this, let's establish the persons who were heard talking in the tape in terms of what kind of political gravitas or weight they have. Because if it's a nobody, then we can go to sleep. Do you agree with those who are thinking like that?
Well, I don't agree with anyone who is thinking about whether they should be anybody or nobody. The person you describe as nobody could start a process, and it goes through various layers, and it gets to the one you think is somebody. So if such a conversation have begun, no matter the level, we must all be interested in it. But luckily for us, names that have been dropped are no mean persons. these are very senior persons of the New Patriotic Party, if it is confirmed that they are the ones. Someone who had been a regional chairman of a party is no mean a person. Is a police officer at the rank of COP is no small person. And so we need to be very much interested in this. So luckily, we shouldn't even begin to talk about they are nobodies. These are somebodies. They are big people.
The president, through the minister or the interior minister, has assured you, Parliament, Ghanaians, that the IGP is not going anywhere. Does that give you cause for
it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop us from investigating.
Okay.
It doesn't stop us from investigating.
Okay.
It is important to investigate, and if it is found to be true that such a conversation happened, some persons must be punished. For example, if there are 7 police officers who are having such a conversation, who are having that kind of mindset, they must be punished, so that tomorrow you will not have a vigilante IGP. Because those persons discussing could possibly rise one day to become IGs. And so if they are punished, it will serve as a lesson for any other person that is given uniform to wear, that you shouldn't be having such a mindset, that you want to be given opportunity to head the security establishment so as to use ways and means to help a political party to win an election, even when the people of the country, and Ghanaians for that matter, say, no, we do not want you.
Now, Kofi, let me ask you this. I think it's tried knowledge the kind of relationship you have with the former president, John Dramani Mahama. Everybody knows that you're very close to him. Do you know of any conversations that the former president has had with DAMPARE reassuring him that you make him IGP when he becomes president, or if he becomes president, until 2030? Do you know of any such conversation? And so the IGP should be rest assured, work for the NDC, you'll be fine when you come to power.
I'm a member of the Defense and Interior Committee, a former national organizer, a former campaign coordinator, a former deputy general secretary. If His Excellency John Dramani Mahama will want to have any conversation about security-related issues, I surely would have been in the know. No such things have happened anywhere.
So whoever was saying it and was actually referencing a program here on Metro TV to buttress his point
because
sounded very confident that he knew exactly what he was talking about. You're saying the person is lying?
He said Paul Adomochi and that Paul Adomochi is supposed to have said it somewhere and even went further to say it on Metro TV. So Paul will be the one to be able to tell us where he said what it is that they are saying he said.
Let's talk about the fact that DAMPARE had enjoyed several promotions under the NDC regime. And I hate to be talking about this because it's like I'm buying into this whole partisanship that happens at POP. But these are issues that are being talked about. So let me round it by you. DAMPARE has enjoyed, some promotions in his career, several of them during the NDC era. And if you listen to that tape, the voice there is saying that for him, it sort of confirms where his lineage or his affiliation or his sympathy lies.
Well, does anybody suggest that he wasn't qualified to be promoted? If he wasn't qualified to be promoted, then I don't think that the MPP administration would have found him worthy to be an IGP. Because it's not by force that they were to be. There were equally other senior persons at the time he was appointed. So what it means is that the person is qualified. If he passes promotional exams, he will be promoted. Okay. There are processes that they go through for promotion. As we speak now, they are even reviewing the processes of promotion from not just number of years that you served, but also some of the activities that you would have been involved in within a certain period. You have to justify it in order for you to be promoted to the next level. It's not just the number of years that you served at a particular rank, then it qualifies you to jump to the next rank. I'm not aware of he being promoted or his affiliation with NDC. No. or MPP, I'm not aware. But if he does something wrong, we will criticize.
All right.
He is bound to make mistakes, and those mistakes, we will criticize him and for him to correct.
All right.
But to meet and suggest that he be removed for someone else to come and do the bidding of the political party is absolutely wrong.
All right. Richard Nyama wants to ask you a question. Richard.
Good morning, my neighbor. Kofi, Moro was just being mischievous and playing the devil's advocate. Whilst the devil is sitting right here before him. I did actually even go further to say that for me, the current, the person who was heard on the tape, the police officer, should be interdicted whilst this is ongoing. I totally agree with the calls for the investigations, because I think when the investigations are concluded, that was the crux of my point, that you will see that it's much ado about nothing, and that some individual influence peddler trying to make money out of the political season went blowing his horn, and this resulted. But it is telling negatively on us as a government and as a party, and so it is in our interest to have it investigated. And then the reforms bit, if the Parliament, as our representatives, come to the conclusion that, look, we need to reform the way we appoint our security heads, albeit. But if you come to a conclusion that, look, this was not much ado about nothing and we should stick to the status quo, you are representing us. That is also fine by me. But something needs to be done. So I agree totally with you. We're not at variance.
That's correct. I also agree with your views. And so we will not crack heads on this. We will wait, and we hope that everybody will cooperate with the parliamentary committee that is going into this matter.
Okay. All right, Kofi, thank you so very much for accepting to talk to us at this very late hour. We're so grateful that you made time.
Thank you for the opportunity.
All right. Kofi Adams is a member of Parliament for the Boehm constituency and also a member of the Interior and Defence Committee of Parliament. This one says, good morning. This is Ahmed from WA. We should be serious as a country. If the security men in their highest rank can be thinking and planning something like this, then we're doomed as a country. What they are planning is not like a coup d'etat. We need to wake up as a country. Thanks. That's from Ahmed from WA. We got a lot of viewers from WA and the northern regions for some reason. Because most of the messages I'm getting are from the northern region. Sorry, this one here says that Dr. Bawumia is using. Okay, so he says he has the backing of the state in his campaign in this internal election of the MPP against the likes of Alan and the rest, and that's unfair. That's coming from Alhaji Haruna from Ashaiman. But it's purely speculative about the state support. It's, wouldn't be anybody had any evidence. In fact, the vice president himself, we see him, being driven in a bus in most of the rounds that he makes. He's not using his personal car, his personal vehicle, and so this whole talk about state resources being used to sponsor him. If anybody has any evidence, you can bring it out, so we can put an end to the speculations. For now, it's purely speculative. And this one here says, who actually leaked the audio tape, please? We want to know the person's name, their phone number, and what ways in which we can solve this. We have to invite the person who leaked out the tape audio, and by the IGP, and if you look at what the IGP was talking about, I'm not sure what exactly, because the message is a bit disjointed. This one says, good morning. Rachel Nyama has made my day. I think he's so far said the best as far as the NDC, the MPP's communication on this matter is concerned. As for the NDC, nobody knows what is something for them. I don't know what you're trying to say. Simon Dr. Elias MP, Living Star. It says to our chairman in NDC Adenta, this is just the confirmation of the evil plan towards the election in Ghana. Anytime the MP is in power, it happens. In 2008, Ayawaso by election, 2020, general election, they would kill to retain power. Okay. This one, good morning, Moro, and to your charity viewers. Please tell the MP member that I wish the narrative. Okay, so this one I've read already. And this one here says, Ghana has been, okay, good morning, Moro. This leaked tape on I think I've read this one already. Okay, so a bipartisan probe should be conducted into the matter to fish out those involved and then face the law. If any MPP member thinks that they can misbehave or try rigging election 2024, then they should rethink, because Ghanaians have made up their minds. sent in by Sergeant Barney Martino in Wa. Do you honestly think that they believe that the Minister of Interior, when he says that the government is not going to interfere in the 2024 general elections, when he was mentioning violent by-elections in the country, he mentioned those which happened under the NDC administration, but intentionally omitted that of Ayawaso West Wogon. Is that someone that we can trust? It's coming from Kiwa in Takrade. Okay. Richard, what's your concluding remarks before you take leave of us? But time is up.
Yes. Look, this issue about establishing the authenticity of or otherwise of the tape.
Sure.
That's why I'm elated that it is a parliamentary bipartisan. Yes. You know what? We have voice recognition technology that can easily establish this. Okay. And it's not a political thing. So if they call on the expertise of private companies or even state agencies outside, and these are technologies that are actually available that can be used. But for the independence of it, you may need a neutral, renowned company or agency to do it and tell you that, yes, this is it. It's very easy.
The police themselves have internal mechanisms.
Yes, they do. But you see, because it's
very modern technology.
Yes, but because it's concerning them and the IGP in particular, you don't want it to be seen to be playing into their hands. So you have to have this body do that, and then they will invite the needed technology. We'll get to the bottom of this. Because for me, if the MPP is seen to be very eager to get this thing probed and the results made clear, and then we make our position clear, because I believe sincerely that in the end, the motives of the persons on this tape would be will come to bear, it will be revealed, and then it will absolve us as a party and as a government. You realize that we know nothing about this. I am saying that the persons involved are very greedy individuals who are scheming to make their own line their own pockets. So we need them to be exposed for who they are. And let's get to it.
Thank you so very much. That's Richard Nyama for accepting to join us on Inside Pages. We sincerely apologize. Mustafa Gbandi couldn't join us. We still haven't been able to reach him. His phones are off for some reason. The party itself has been trying to reach him. It's not been possible. My name once again is Aldo Mora. I also want to thank Professor Audrey Gajekpo, board CDD chair and also an election observer. And also I want to thank Mr. Kofi Adams, the MP for Boehm, and a member of the Defense and Interior Committee. My name is Aldo Mora. Thanks for watching. Same time, Saturday, 8 a.m. We'll be right back with another edition of Inside Pages. Have a great day. Bye-bye.